Russian child Tia into it. It's very salty. Oh, it's very nice. You cannot taste all that. You know what I taste when I... Oh, you know what that tastes like? Red wine. Oh, what's going on? Mead Man here. And this is a new type of video that I'm going to be doing. And it's about my brewing classes. I'm taking brewing classes right now because I want to learn more of the basics of making alcohol. Brewing is already really established, so they have good cleaning techniques, sanitizing techniques, and I believe it can teach me a lot about just the process of making alcohol to make my meads better, and also give me ideas to make more meads, even braggots, the beer mead. So I'm going to use this to talk about all the things that compares to mead and all the new stuff that I learned that will help me with mead. So I can either do this every week or every couple weeks, but that's what I'm going to do. Anywho, actually I'm going to get my little brewing shirt on, don't mind me, one sec. Ooh, sorry about that loudness. Let me put this bad boy on. Look how sick I'm looking. Oh yeah. Alright. Let's go over what I've learned this week. And I'm just going to go down a list of stuff I've made. And I'm going to tell you everything that has helped me with my mead making and maybe some hot takes or something like that. I don't know. Alright. First thing, when I made my peach mead, right? I posted a video about that recently. It has cleared up in the bottle, which is very cool, but I taste better when it actually has the stuff in it. So every time I want to serve it, I actually shake it up and make it into a little slurry, I guess. Anywho, the peach mead, when I took the gravity, I said I had it at 1.000 for the gravity, which wasn't completely true. It was a little bit lower and I didn't know why, but I figured it out. When you brew something that has a higher percent alcohol, when you take a gravity for it, and if it's completely fermented dry, then that means that there's enough ethanol, enough alcohol, to where alcohol is lighter than water, so the gravity will be lighter than 1.00, which is the gravity of water. So that means you'll have a negative gravity because there's so much ethanol in it, not like a whole bunch, like 50%. Mine was around almost 20%. That means that there's enough ethanol in it to make the gravity lower than water. So it's lighter than water, which is wicked cool. But on the topic of gravity, my equation that I use, starting gravity minus final gravity times 131.25 gives me the gravity that I've used before, but it is just a kind of equation that will get you close to it. So even though I put on like my bottles and stuff, oh, I got 19.75% alcohol, really what happened was I got around 19% alcohol, so I could probably just put 19, but I like the specific numbers. It makes it look cool, right? Makes me like, oh, he knows it. But really what I'm going to be learning in the next couple of weeks is how to get the actual gravity, get the actual alcohol percentage out of a beer, which I'm going to transfer over to making mead. And I'll still make mead videos where I'm going to use that because I still like to put out the simple ways of making mead so everyone can try it. But I'm also going to try to give the exact alcohol or as close as I'm going to be taught, which is cool. Alright, so first subject over. I'm going to go over my history class on beer. In the, not the Mesopotamian, so around 4000 BC, around that area. There was a civilization that made beer. And really, in this recipe that they're going off of, because it's going off a little like song slash poem thing, where my conductor, not a train, what am I talking about? Professor, right? My professor, he's talking about how they we're going to make a beer out of this little poem, because it's a poem about making beer. So he's saying it's a beer, and that it's used in the poem. It says that it's used date honey, and honey from date, something like that, right? Which there's honey in the beer, which makes it which could make it a braggot. Which, if most of the fermentable alcohol is coming from honey, it's a braggot. But he doesn't want to admit it, and they're saying that he's saying that he wants to put dates in it. But in the poem it says date honey, which I believe that the honey is collected from date fields, which, as you know, honey can give different flavors through different places you collect it. So if it's a honey in like an orange field, it'll taste citrusy and like orange, or it'll taste completely weird. And I'm not the person to go deep into flavors, or maybe I just don't have a good palate yet, but I'm not the person to go deep into flavors. I'm going to talk about this later, but it's actual differences of like, oh, that tastes like marshmallows. Oh, that tastes like ass, straight ass. That's the worst tasting honey in my world. Why did I try that? Why did I keep trying it? It's weird. Anyways, he's saying that they're putting date juice or date jam or something like that. No, I don't believe it. Maybe a little bit, but I don't believe it. I believe it's honey. I believe it's a braggot, and he just doesn't want to admit it. So we're gonna make the recipe. It's gonna be a beer recipe, but I think it really is a braggot. So, but they also can't make a braggot, I don't think, even though it is a beer. A braggot, I think, is technically considered a wine right now, which shouldn't be correct, because mead is not wine. Wine is weird. Mead is cool. Mead is awesome. Anywho, I do that recipe completely different than what he's going to come up with next week. So let's go to our next topic. The process compared to mead, the beer process. The mead process, there's a lot of ways to do everything, because mead is so versatile that you can make a mead any way you want. You can boil it, brew it. You could go through this whole process to make a braggot. It's anything you want to do, right? Beer has a very specific process where there's different steps of, you got to put hot water into a grain at a specific temperature. And when I say that it's at a specific temperature, that's the brewer's window. That's what it's called. I believe brewing has had a less interrupted scientifical. Bear with me. I'm not an English major. I don't know words. They have had a more consistent scientifical, like, what's a word for it? Come on. Advancement. They've had consistent advancements in brewing, the brewing process, unlike mead, where when you talk about beer, it's like, oh, scientists have determined that this is the best window where the heat is best for extracting the flavor and the sugars out of grains, because beer is made from grains. Like, this is the best consistency for the grains that you need to cut it up and mill it with. It's very specific, because they've found the best ways to do it. Where mead, it's more of a like, well, my Aunt Grammy, she had this mead recipe that was pretty dang good. You put this and this, and really there's not much to it, because of the break of where beer and wine took over the industry of making alcohol. because it was so much simpler than making mead and gathering honey. So it's easier to farm hops, grains, berries, anything. It was easier to farm it than farming honey until now, because honey is easier to farm. It's very uh, good for the environment, and it will. It's very profitable, so it's a good business now. Anywho, uh, the beer process has become very specific, where it you get the best type of beer for whatever you're trying to brew, but it doesn't mean that you're going to make a good beer. It's just all the steps have been like perfected to where you will make the best beer that you could have made with the ingredients that you put in. So I don't know if there's like a best way to put like berries into a mead or syrup into a mead. If there's specifically something that you can do, it's weird, right? But beer is very exact, and you still have your window of like creativity where you can put stuff in, but the process of growing grains and growing hops have been so specific, that so studied, that you will make a very good beer on the quality of ingredients almost every time. Honey, honey is like the variable that won't change at all much. Well, it'll change a lot, but you can't change it much because that's kind of the defining factor of it. It's the taste. There is different types of honeys that are like very I guess grown, where it's like wildflower and I don't know other names of honey. I can't think of it. Orange blossom. I really can't think of any honey names right now. But honey is always different, but the grains can really be exact every time, which is cool because that's very good for making a very consistent beer. And meads are usually very consistent. It's just to that level where I don't like getting into, which I'm still going to talk about later, of like beer is like beer, wine, any alcohol where people are like, that is so good. It's very nutty. No one put nuts in that shit. No, it's not nutty. You don't. Oh, it has a slight coffee flavor. There is no coffee. There's nothing that tastes like coffee in it. It's just you're making that bullshit up. Now, I'm saying this. I don't have the palate to really taste it yet, but I believe it's kind of bullshit. I'm just saying. All right, I got to talk about this later. All right. Anywho, complex sugars. I learned about this. Honey is a very one-dimensional sugar. It is very easy for yeast to eat, very easy for yeast to indulge on, because it's like, for example, it's like one dot together. It's like eating a spoonful of mashed potatoes. Easiest thing you can eat in the world. I don't know if anyone's died on mashed potatoes, but it's less than like steak or something like that. While there's other sugars that are harder for yeast to eat and digest, like say that are like sugar molecules that are like connected in a way. Imagine like two dots or four dots or together. It's very hard for the yeast to digest. It's like trying to eat bone marrow of like a chicken wing or something like that. Very difficult. Something weird, right? It's hard for them to do, so they look for easier sugars to eat. And that's why there is residual sweetness in beer, even if you ferment it dry, because there is just some sugars that are hard for the yeast to eat, giving you different flavors and everything like that, which I believe is very cool with beer. I don't believe that makes beer better, though. I believe beer has its own place. I believe it's a great like drink. I still think it's a great drink, but I still prefer like the kind of drinks where you sip on something, like most meads, but there's also types of meads where you can drink like that, and that has its place. Anywho, I learned about the complexities of the sugar, which will help me a lot for mead, which gives me a better understanding of it. And then there is water. The water, I always use spring water, right? I always use some spring water. that's just something I was like taught to do because I don't know, I really didn't until now, where I understand that yeast need minerals, different types of minerals for their just to stay healthy, kind of like humans need minerals. And in water, there's different types of minerals that will help the yeast, and that's why stuff like distilled water, where there is no minerals in it, basically just straight water, right? It is very bad for the it's very bad for the yeast. It's they need minerals to keep going to be healthy, and that's why you're not supposed to use tap water, because tap water in America or where I'm at, they put chlorine in it, which, yeah, chlorine, with just small amounts of chlorine that helps it get through the system and stay good, but stay bacteria free. But there's still a residual in the drinking water, which can be very detrimental to yeast, which is all say all be all of making beer, wine, mead, everything like that, where it's there. The yeast make the beer. I just make all the mash and everything like that. But um, there's minerals in water that will help it ferment. So that's why I am going to continue using spring water. I might even, if I get deeper into making mead, I might change it even more. I might change the water, but that's kind of going against my beliefs that I have right now, which I can finally talk about. Beer, mead, wine, any alcohol, I believe that you can only get to a certain taste level. There isn't, meaning that for beer, there's different like grains and malts that you can use that will change the flavor. Yeah, it changes it. It changes completely. Like how my first meads up here, all different colors, but that doesn't mean that a mead can't be red. That doesn't mean a mead can't be blue. There's all different colors of meads, beers, wines, but uh, there isn't much difference in flavor unless you use different ingredients. Like a traditional mead, you know what it's gonna taste like? Honey. Or maybe a traditional mead, you put different things, like maybe you put some wood in it, something like that, and give it a smoky flavor, right? Uh, it still is gonna taste like honey, but with smoky flavor. Unless you add a different ingredient, I fully believe that there is not going to be much of a different taste at all. Like in the process of beer, there is different malts and different hops. Some hops are completely different, some are, but a lot of hops are not. A lot of grain is not. It's like, oh, I was trying in class these two different grains, right? One was a very dark grain. It's been roasted for a long time. I was like, oh, this is has a very different flavor and taste compared to this base grain, which is just dried out or it was just slightly roasted. It's something that you use a lot of. But there was different types of base grains, and you know what they taste like? Oh, so similar. They were both barley. They were both roasted. One tasted like just oatmeal more. Who cares if it tastes like oatmeal more? Because really, I don't believe that it changes the taste. Now, I'm not much, no, I don't know much about beer, but I know a lot more about mead than beer is. And if I made a mead with peach and one with peach and then one with less peach, maybe some pear, something different, right? And maybe I added like like nothing different. Actually, no, I made two different peach meads, one with less peach, one with more peach. Now, if I have it side by side, I'm gonna be like, oh, this one's different, this one's different, but I'm not gonna be able to tell. Uh, I would, well, maybe tell if it's right next to me. But if I drink a peach mead and I one day and then maybe like 2 3 hours later, I'm gonna take a drink of the other one, and I'm gonna go, wow, those tasted exactly the same. I'm not gonna go, oh, this one's more nutty, this one's more beautiful, it's more stunning, something like that. Really, really being an asshole about it. Really, they both taste good. They taste amazing, and that's all that really matters. But that's why I don't really like wine, like the wine culture that much, because someone would try a red wine and go, oh, that's very good. I can taste the slight smokiness in the cry of a Russian child tear into it. It's very salty. Oh, it's very nice. You cannot taste all that. You know what I taste when I? Oh, you know what that tastes like? Red wine. Oh, you know what this tastes like? Red wine. And unless you have it a lineup of wines, which I still believe is a very uh, beneficial thing because it gives you an appreciation of all different types of wines, and everyone makes their thing their own way, which you can taste it if you all line it up. But really, if something tastes like red wine, it's gonna taste like red wine. And when you think of a taste of red wine, you know what's gonna come up? Taste of red wine. There ain't no difference. So unless you have an actual difference in ingredients, that is a big difference. It's not like, oh, this has two different types of grapes. Unless the grapes taste completely different and they actually have a different taste. Like, oh, this one's a bit more a sweeter. It's a bit sweeter. This one's a bit bitter. And if they actually have a different taste, maybe it'll change it. Maybe. But there is a point where you don't need to be like, oh, this is so fluorescent. It's such a floral flavor. It's very, you can taste the flower into it. No, you can't, motherfucker. No, you can't. Maybe you can, but there's no hint. Oh, it's a slight hint of Oshimo Northern Berry. No, there isn't, motherfucker. No, there isn't. All right. So that's really all I wrote down. That's all I really learned compared to honey. I learned a lot more about beer, but I'm not a beer channel, so I don't really care about that. But that's what I've learned. And they also taught me, I asked my professor a lot about CO2, and so I could decarbonate I had to cut that out. I almost told you the type of mead that's coming out. I can't tell you that. All right. Anywho, that's how it goes, right? Thank you for watching. I'm wicked cool. You're wicked cool. Thank you for watching.